So as I said in the videos before, I wanted to make the MX-5 lighter because, I mean, it's a light car in general and to begin with, but obviously to make it faster you have to, well, shed some weight. And I did this by building a carbon fiber trunk lid, which probably did not end up that good. It works and it achieves its purpose, but it's still not, yeah, I have failed in many steps. First of all, the weight reduction I achieved with this is about 7 kilos because the stock trunk lid weighs 7.5 to 8 kilograms, and in addition to that there are the hinges that are lost and the locking mechanism that is lost. So in total this is going to weigh about, or the original stuff is weighing in about 9 kilograms. And the new one, the trunk lid itself, is about 1.7 kilograms because I made it as light as possible. It does not have any inner structure, so it's just a lid to cover up the trunk area. And yeah, some pins. Normally those would be bonnet pins, but I just used them for the trunk, and yeah, they're not that heavy because they're made of aluminum. Starting with when I fabricated this thing. Well, first of all, I watched some videos about fabrication for carbon fiber and thought to myself, yeah, that looks pretty easy, let's try that. And I ordered some stuff to build carbon fiber parts, which were, well, partly the right stuff and some stuff was wrong, especially the carbon fiber cloth, which was way too thick, but I'll get to that when in the build process. First of all, I cleaned the original trunk lid because I used that as a negative to build this lid. And then I put on some solvent that lets you remove the carbon fiber more easily, because otherwise it would bond to the original paint or the original material, which obviously I don't want, since I want to have a carbon fiber part in itself and not just laminated with carbon fiber. And then I put on the first layer of cloth, which was the right thing to do, and then put on some epoxy with a brush and let that dry, put on another coat. The issue that I've already done there is that I did not use like a spatula to use more epoxy and to make a smoother finish. So the problem I ended up with here is that I only had some parts covered pretty good and I didn't use enough epoxy, so that some parts, well, they did not have epoxy throughout. So if you looked at the carbon fiber, you could see through because it had holes in it, basically. So just very small holes, but it had holes in it. And the mistake I did after that is, because I thought it was okay, I removed the first layer directly from the mold, which is a mistake I should have not done. Because although, yes, you will be able to remove it and it already held its shape, which was pretty good. But the problem is there, you probably should directly fit the second layer or third layer or whatever, however many layers you go with, they're directly on top while still being on the negative. So just do everything, do every layer that you are going to use, and then only then remove it, because if you do it before that, you're gonna end up like I did. I removed it and then cleaned up the edges and stuff, made it so that the edges are relatively smooth and stuff. And then obviously the part came where I had to do the second layer. I decided to put it back on the trunk lid, and yeah, that's where it came into a problem, that I used a 450 gram cloth instead of like 100 or 180 gram cloth, because the one I used is very thick. So I've had problems with the two layers not bonding properly because the cloth was very stiff and I couldn't even glue it together with the epoxy. So that just was, it only happened here, that's why it's so wavy here. But in most cases, yeah, just use a thinner cloth. I would recommend 180 grams or 100 grams even, but you obviously have to use more layers. I only use 2 layers here. If I had an inner structure, that would be as strong as an OEM lid, but as it is now, it still has some flex in it, although it's not that bad. I can push on it pretty hard and it won't deflect, and I probably won't have any issues when driving at speed. And yeah, but that was the second issue that appeared. The issue I did then, well, I removed it again, which was a stupid mistake I did as well. Shouldn't have done that, and yeah, I removed both the layers then as well. And then I tried to fix the stuff that it wasn't a smooth finish, because I again applied it with a brush, which I shouldn't have probably. And yeah, I tried to apply the epoxy in relatively big amounts off of the mold. The problem is that it dripped through the holes on the bottom, and this is where it ended up looking like this. This is from the stuff I laid it on top of, and it molded it within the epoxy. I may have to grind that down again, and there's many little droplets and stuff on it. So yeah, I should have done the whole process on the mold and even do the final epoxy primer or the final epoxy layer on the mold. And the way to pour the epoxy or to apply the epoxy is to pour it on top. Just use more than you would think of, and then use a spatula to basically push in the epoxy in every little crevice that you have in between the fibers, and that's where you get the smooth finish from. Obviously, after you've done, you have to do 3 or 4 more coats of epoxy to get a smooth finish and then to sand it. But this is an important step to do it, because if you do it like that, you will get a very smooth finish like here. That was the first layer that covered properly with epoxy, and that was against the mold, and that is going to look like this on the other side as well. And yeah, that's basically how you should do it and not the way I did. So for the next part that I'm gonna do, I'm also going to show you and hopefully show you how it's done correctly, and then it will also be looking much better. Anyway, that's basically it. As I said, weight reduction of about 7 kilograms, maybe if I take off the stuff, even a bit more. But yeah, see you next time. Don't do the mistakes I did. If you have any questions about this, let me know in the comments below. And yeah, until next time, bye.